Yes, everybody, Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well, my friends. I genuinely hope you are well. Happy Thursday. We're getting through the week. I'm feeling a bit better. Thanks for asking. It's right. Straight off the bat, this is possibly our busiest rumour update video we've done. Probably this summer. I think we've got something like 18 players in terms. That's the ridiculous nature of what's going on in the transfer window at the moment. And we're going to try and run through them and get your views and all that jazz as well. So we're going to try and get through it. Let's go through some comments first before we crack on. There's loads of comments. Wow. Jimmy Jones, haven't seen you for a while. Well, my friend, hardly going to let us have him for a fair price. Talk about them in a minute. I was scared to do with Sullivan. Don't blame him. Fancying. Ooh, I couldn't think of an F. That's why grumpy old man, to be honest. He's no levy. They'll be all right. If they were to let him go on. We'll talk about Florian as we go through. Sullivan should make probably a value in 40-50. Your show should be about Fofana, realistic target, not a player. We're going to talk about him, Colin. We have a lead story, and we talk about the rest. Fofana we're talking about as well. So don't worry about that. We're going to get through it. So we've got 18. We're going to talk about Antonio. We're going to talk about that at Hammer's headlines later on. Yep, Vanessa Golders know it. Obviously, she's been made co-chair, taking up the role that her late dad was in. So GSB out. He's back to normal now. Right. Everyone's talking. I'm not even going to talk to each other. When are West Ham going to announce Zakaria? Then maybe not. A new intro is at the budget. That's a transfer budget, Sin. That's why no signings. Actually, I did it myself. I hope you something different. It's a bit different. Tony Rose, not enough action indeed. Agreed deal for Sky. When is he going to be? Announcement. No news just on yet. Anyone else? We got Frano. We got Gavin. A bit worried about the lake of transfers. Where's the lake of transfers? Is that near the River Thames? Let me know. Surely off Fofana's performance against it is no-brainer. We'll talk about that in a minute. It's so grim. Sick of these players banging on about a trophy and how Moyes' a trophy is a bonus, Russ. Fully support. Yeah, fair enough. According to Geo, watched not just Geo, several other sources as well. But we'll come to this. Let's get through it. Right. We'll start off with. Right, let's start with Conor Gallagher because there's still news about Conor Gallagher. Although this is, and again, as I said, I always try and give you my spin on things. So according to the Mirror, it's reported that David Moyes is reportedly still hoping to bring Conor to West Ham from Chelsea. Obviously, we had a bid of £37 million rejected for the 23-year-old. Chelsea wanting close to 50 million. This is a bit of a non-story, I think, to me. Gallagher doesn't want to leave, and instead wants to stay at Stamford Bridge and fight for his place. We'll see what happens towards the end of the transfer window. It could be a late one, if possible. But the Mirror reckon the Scot is still hopeful of bringing the England international to the London Stadium in the summer. This is going to be one of those, sort of our Jesse Lingard type signings, I think, in terms of we're going to be sort of, we're going to get him. We don't get him at all. 50 million quid is the price tag. I think we probably get there's a lot better cost-effective options out there. Granted, he's got the energy and he'd be a great player, but if he doesn't want to come to you, then what's the point? Russy B, I'll give it not 6. No, I'll give it a 4 out of 10. I'm giving this one a 4 out of 10. I'll be honest, not 6 out of 10. I've changed my mind. Let's have a look at some comments. What we got here? Morocco looking to knock Germany out of the World Cup. Fair play, Morocco. Not only smashing it in the men's World Cup, but the women's as well. Maguire urged to join West Ham. We're going to try more bid. Apparently we are, but we're not talking about Maguire today. We need to look at the 3 transfers, some decent players out there. The only concern with me, Joe, some of those free transfers is why are they still free transfers? Do you know? This Tanichi Kameda, we know from Eintracht Frankfurt is still a free transfer. I think it's Lazio and AC Milan have both tried to sign him, and they've both fallen through. So why is that? I think sometimes we have to look beyond what we see in terms of the stats and look at behind the scenes. Is he asking for stupid wages, or does he have an injury, or we don't know. Afternoon, Andy. Hope you're well. How's it going with nearly signing Borja? Indeed. How do you reckon? Do you reckon I can get a refund on the season ticket? Nope. Once at Chelsea, I'm always trying to focus on joining him. Indeed. Don't want Gallagher or JWP now. I want an Arna or Fofana and Gnotto. don't think, as I said to you, Matt, I don't think Notto he's not the answer to the midfield problem, but definitely a good player. Get Fofana. We'll talk about Fofana in a minute. Someone needs to tell him that no means no, indeed. I want a Fofana or maybe a Nana, but we're probably going to get a banana. Very good. Zakaria is close to joining West Ham to announce him. It takes so long to announce people. We'll see. There's conflicting reports there, as you can appreciate, as always. Kamadi do agree with Lazio. There we go. Fair play. Don't want to wait until the end of the window. The off chance some of the players won't be available. We need to get a settled squad and off to a decent start. I agree, Gary. I agree indeed. But I think there'll be a percentage of our transfer activity will be done towards the end when squads are starting to get announced or they know who's going to be playing in their squad. Like, for example, Chelsea, Poch has wanted the whole squad there, hasn't sold anyone. But what will happen is he'll then look at it and he'll make a decision based on, the thing about Brozier. Now, Nkuku looks like he's got injured, so the chances of Brozier coming are a lot less. And that's what he wants to do. And then he'll get rid of the players he doesn't want to. Could you imagine Fofana and Amrabat? Not going to get Amrabat, no chances. Rust, women are making up. Yeah, they are 2 or 3, and a new manager as well. What's the bet in West Ham go 40 million for Ward-Prowse? I've said that. It's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen now. I reckon 35. Keep the faith. We always do. Soothed over unplayed and Peel. You can imagine he's right. Anyway, so let's move on. Let's talk about JWP. Obviously, I did a show earlier today about JWP, and about how we could be making one last effort to sign him. According to several sources, we're going to make a final take it or leave it. This reminds me, like when you sort of, like when you was like, if you're any parents out there, when you say, you better do this, or I'm gonna do it. You better do it. You better do it. You better do it, or you count to 3, and you never get to the last number. 2, 2.5, 2.25, 1, and you never get to 0, do you, Flo? You never get to 0. And that's like this with JWP bids. We're going to put a last offer. It's going to be the last one. This is definitely going to be the last. This is definitely going to be the last one. The last one today. And that's what it seems, or you sort of turning around. What? Yeah, one last offer. What? One last offer. Apparently, one last offer. But, ladies and gentlemen, news exclusive, rumors and stuff like that, but exclusive information to the West Ham network by a close source of JWP's family has said that, where is it? I've got it. And this is exclusive. Apparently, JWP's family have been saying that he has, since the end of last season, about this West Ham deal. Since the end of last season about this West Ham deal, apparently he's telling friends and family that he wants to come to West Ham, and apparently JWP, amongst his sort of friend base, has also been saying that he's definitely coming to West Ham. He wants to come to West Ham. He definitely wants to come to West Ham. So it's not a case of us getting if we get the price right, and we get the Southampton to agree, he will sign. He will sign for West Ham. He is fully committed to sign for West Ham. He wants to move. As I said this morning, he's 28. It's the last opportunity for a big signing for him, or a signing. Otherwise, he'd never have a signing in his career, really. It's England year as well in terms of the Euros. If we get the fee agreed, there will not, hopefully, there won't be a Carlos Borges type issue here. He wants the West Ham move. JWP wants to come to West Ham. So, and that's from a very reliable source within the JWP camp. So, but that's great. There's a player there. If you can agree the fee, he will come. He will come. It's not like Jesse Lingard. It's not like anything else where, people say, he wants to come, or he might not come. He wants the move. JWP wants the move, from news exclusive to the West Ham network. So from my, I'm not going to say who the source is, but he's very, very, very reliable indeed. So I'm giving an 8 out of 10. I mean, this one's going to happen. This one is going to happen. I'm pretty sure. If we get the fee right, it's done. And to me, that's a start. And I know it's not an inspiration. It's an amazing move, but I think it's a good move for the now. And we'll still get 3 or 4 years with him. I really think we will do. I know there's a bit of controversy about, is he gonna bring it? Is he not gonna be boring? But actually, I think I'm relatively excited about this now. I've changed my mind from this morning. Why the time wasting pursuit? He's not worth 25. We always make ourselves useless. One final, leave it, and then another final. I think it'll be 30 plus 5 million. I think so as well. I think the buck stops at 30. I think 30, 35. I think 30. At the moment, we've offered 30, 27 plus 3. So I think we're going to stop there at 35, 30 plus 5 in my eyes. Wants to join, he does. And so there could be a possibility where JWP forces the move through, potentially, which never really happens to us, really, does it? It always happens against us that that our players force a move. Like we've got the whole thing with potentially Skamaka, with Vlasic. They want this move. We're getting it. Cresswell, apparently according to X, hasn't trained, so he's trying to force a move. And so actually, it's someone wants to come to us. So actually, I wouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth. I'll be honest. Philip Billing will be. Yep, great signing will be. Is this year's Jesse Lingard? I remember Jay Lings is always available on a free, but he wants to come. JWP wants to come. I think it'll be about 100 anyway, so wages won't be an issue. I'll settle for Zakaria plus Fofana, Lindstrom or JWP midfield. John Fatales will talk about in a minute. The source is Mr. Ketchup. I'm not saying who the source is, but it's a good source. And I don't usually do those types of things, but I've had it from from a good person that he's been basically he's desperate for the move. Just a thought on Ward-Prowse. Aren't we the only club in for him? Shouldn't that weaken the Saints' position on selling him? No bidding war. Andy, they don't have to sell him. They don't have to sell him really because Salisu's already gone. They're relatively in a good financial position. Chances are Romeo Lavia will go to maybe someone like Liverpool, so they don't have to sell him. And actually, it's one of those calculated risks. If you keep him and he provides the assists and the goals to set you up, rather than losing him for £35 million, you could get him for 100 million. You get 100, 150 for getting back into the Premier League. So we'll see. If he does sign, will doubtlessly be captain, possibly. Stuart Pearce rumored to be coming back on a coach. The training card, not the one with Wills. Afternoon from Papa Firth. Early doors, hope you're well. Arnie Foot, good shout, actually, yeah. You're right. Our offer is right. They want 40 million. You could get Thuram for that. Ridiculous management on our part. I think the trouble is, Trini, a lot of these players on paper, we can get this guy in, but will he come to us? Does he want to come to us? And the chances are a lot of players at the moment don't seem to want to come to us. So I think, sometimes we have to not lower our expectations, but look at realistic targets and then be ambitious. And I think we need to get a realistic target in and then look at the likes of Fofana, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Afternoon, Russ. I'm so bored of this transfer window. I personally don't rate other than free kicks. What does he offer? Apparently, Sharif, I've been led. I was told because I said he didn't do a lot of running. Apparently, he covered the most amount of ground than any Saints player last season. So there we go. Injury record's okay as well. The source isn't Darnesh. It's a decent source. This one. It's proper HP. This one. 30 double-figure goals plus assists is good for 3 years. It is indeed. We're going to talk about him in a minute. I hope Kansas deal. Don't think so. We must have at least 150 the cup run. What the fuck is going on? That's what I said today on my show. I think we must have at least 105 million. So you think, where's the rest of it? So I imagine we probably are in a relatively cash-rich situation, but we want to get the right players. Let's move. Let's talk about Dennis Zakaria. Obviously, we've had conflicting stories with Dennis. One is that we've apparently agreed a 17 million deal with Juventus for him. However, we've since had other sources report that he's not. It's a non-starter, so we don't know with Dennis Zakaria. There is very much two conflicting, literally each end of the spectrum stories. One is he's £17 million is guaranteed, he's on his way. The other one is it's a non-starter. So we don't know. We don't know if it's Dennis Zakaria. Personally, I've gone with a 7 out of 10 because I still think there's too much positive news about it than negative, if that makes sense. So just by weighing up what we've got, but we'll see. I dare say a lot of players are holding out for Saudi Arabia. More lucrative offers. Things will move last 2 weeks when people start being more realistic. I agree, Garina. And also, the fact is that I think, a lot of people have not sort of looked at it so much. This year's a Euro year. So it's, for a lot of players, maybe the likes of JWP, this is the last opportunity, potentially can be, of getting to a international tournament with England. So, if he signs to West Ham, for example, as a decent season, he can make that squad. Particularly when your likes of, Conor Gallagher could be, he might be a bit part for Chelsea this season. And, Jordan Henderson's gone to Saudi Arabia, so that's probably taking his place out. There could be a possible, so I think, and the likes of Skamaka as well, in terms of going back to Italy, is a Euro year. So, a good season, regardless of what team he plays for, he could be back, he was sort of on the peripheral. He was in the Italian squad, then he sort of was on the sidelines when he got injured. Could get him back in there. Chadams is a good shout. It could work under Moyes. Could do, Ken. 50 million could get you Alvarez, but guarantee will end up with 40 million for JWP after obsesses with him all the window. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, Russ, it looks like we're offering the same amount for JWP as these two I mentioned. We are pretty much a joke at the moment. Yes, Trini. I mean, Kefa Turan, for example, if you're looking at him, he's going to be at least 50 to 60 million pounds. Fofana, yes, apparently he does have a 30 million pound price tag. Would he come to West Ham though? We've got the whole thing with Borges. Again, it's, as I said, it's not even 2 to make a transfer. It's 3. You've got the player, and we've been linked to players, but it doesn't mean that we know that intermediaries will talk to his agents of that player to see if he fancied a move to the Premier League, to West Ham, and then that interest then gets amplified to the clubs. And so, although we can say that we should buy this player and this player and this player, that player might not want to come to us. This player might not want to come to us. That player might be what, it's likes of Alves. If he has a choice between Chelsea and West Ham, he's going to go Chelsea, isn't he? So, and that's apparently, Chelsea looking at Alvarez as well. So, and people will hang off to the last minute, really, then go full hog now. So we'll see. Why are we struggling to convince players to join after conference win? Well, don't know. Or is it very good players, which we'll never get? Person says, won't be a problem. I agree. 70 million is the bargain. It is if we get him. Zakaria, deal worth. He should be having a medical soon. We'll be a bargain for West Ham. We'll wait and see, Charlie. We'll wait and see. Probably a chat with Skamaka. I would have. Why do you have a chat with Skamaka? Because he's Swiss. Ralph, let me know. Loan with option obligation based on number of appearances. What are the chances of Saudi taking over football? Well, they've already taken over the amount of money they spent. I did a big show about it the other day. After the whole Borges saga, I don't believe the media about done deals until the player was announced. West Ham word of the summer is immediate. Why is Zakaria being considered his injury line? He's a sick note. He's not shaky. His injury record is not bad. He had one major injury. It's certainly not. It's not as bad as Kurt Zuma. It's not as bad as Antonio. He had one major injury, which basically took him out for a whole season. And if you look at his injury record by games and looking at the injuries, half those injuries were COVID and sort of virus sickness, which again, you can't help picking up a virus or a sickness. And then niggles. He misses one match because of I don't know, like a bang on the knee or things like that. It ain't that bad. I promise you, it ain't that bad. Alvarez isn't all that really. That's what people are saying. When West Ham signs someone, it takes so long to convince them. I bet it will take a while to announce Zakaria. Oh, it's loads of comments. I'm really sorry. Hope we don't panic buy. Think too much of his injury record to be said. I'll take him over. Souček. To be home, this is a joke. Don't matter what we do now. None of these players will start first few games of the season. We all know how Moyes plays a serious joke, lads. Well, Palo, it was his birthday the other day. So for me, with someone like JWP can walk into the side, he's had this pre-season, and would take over probably from Flynn, and you'd have Flynn, Souček, and Paqueta for the first game potentially. So averages around 30 games a season. Injury prone is a complete fallacy. Exactly, Kent. That's what I'm saying. But the thing is, because people have seen, they don't look at, they look at just the number, and actually, yeah, it looks on transfer market, it looks really bad. But actually, when you look at it, when you break it down, it's one game here, one game there. I think, as I said, he had a really bad knee injury, I think, which basically took him out for a season. A bit like Zuma, really, back in 2011-12 when he had his knee. Was it his knee? And but that keeps recurring. That injury keeps recurring. Where you see Zakaria, he has injuries, and this one ain't. This one gets knocked here, and this and there gets knocked there. That's it. Ain't coming. He's going to Monaco. Yeah, Monaco are after him as well. And I agree what you mean by that, Garino, in terms of Fofana. Who's next? Let's talk about Fofana. Oh, well done, Russ. So, according to several sources, West Ham are stepping up their efforts to sign the Monaco defensive midfielder Youssouf Fofana. As a report in the Daily Mail says, the growing frustrations, as we know, as it says that Moyes and Steinen aren't on the same page. However, the Irons are now set to step up their pursuit for the League R midfielder over the coming days. As has been alluded to, a few sources suggested that Mr. Moyes and Mr. Steiden were present and in attendance for Monaco's. Watch out! What are you doing? Be careful, idiot. Numpty. And so Mr. Moyes and Mr. Steiden were in attendance for Arsenal's home game against Monaco yesterday, of which Fofana was man of the match. Absolutely, it was absolutely outstanding. People have clipped. You go on Twitter, and they've clipped his performance, and he was brilliant. Breaking up play, scored a goal. Well, kind of. He was bombing forward, nice range of passing. Very sort of physically dominating in the midfield. So, apparently reported price is £31 million. So, he's been one of the standout performers in League R for the last season. As I said, it's no brainer, from a fan perspective to get him in. I don't really know about his wages. Don't really know about whether he's open to move to West Ham. But for me, I think he's a great player. And he would really do a good job for us. I'm going to give that a 7 out of 10. But again, we don't know about his the player's responsiveness to a move to West Ham. Fofana is a tank. I want him and Gallagher all possible by the end of the window. Could happen, Ken. Could happen with our training facilities. Zakaria be injured after 2 games. Shaky, hope you're well. I said after we sold Turncoat that we wouldn't sign him until August. I'm going to change that prediction to Jan. Oh, okay, Cyril. Zakaria be a good signing. He can play alongside Suchik and Paqueta. West Ham sign. Will not consider a lot of goals, but players like Fofana, Maguire, Fofana, Trussett, and I mentioned that's Edson Alvarez. You mean not Edison, the goalkeeper? We have the cash, just buy him. I said, well, put in an offer and then see what happens, innit? Because I said, it takes 3 to tango. It takes the player as well. As soon as the first signing comes, you'll see 3 or 4 or 5 in quick succession. If JD is the first of all, fans will forget his age and price when he kicks that internet. That's what I mean, Ken. That's what I said today in my show this morning. For me, as soon as he puts that shirt on, a bit like when Craig Dawson put his shirt on, no one really worried Craig Dawson, but he put the West Ham shirt on, and you keep with him. You follow him, and that's the same with JOP. I think he'd bring, it'd bring a lot of, it makes a threat of set pieces again. So, we'd be nicking the odd goal, but we weren't even nicking the odd goal last year from set plays. So for me, that would make a big difference. Any comment on the newly appointed investor? Does that mean it's business as usual and no sale of the club? Not necessarily, Carl. It may mean that there's been progress in the probate potentially. In that this is a relatively sort of random sort of news story. It could mean that Mr. Gold's probate has been sorted out, but then obviously, unfortunately, the assumption was that the shares were then divvied up between Danny, Cunningham, Vanessa, and the late Jacqueline. Obviously, Jacqueline passed, and there's a number in the family trust, and it's believed, according to Sean, that it's 9% Danny's got, 9% Vanessa's got, and 7% are in trust for the family. So it could mean things are the ducks are starting to get in the line. But look, great to have that. It's great to still have her. Obviously David Gold was a great supporter of West Ham as well as an owner, and it's great to keep that lineage there for the time being. We'll see what happens. We don't know. What have we got here? Seeing that, we're going to talk about that tonight. Hammer's headlines. Keeping on that. Scott, hope you're well. Fofana 31, not bad. Need to agree. Well, by the sounds of it, Charlie, they're sort of starting to find some neutral ground. I don't know what's changed. Maybe, and that's what I said the other day when the whole thing came out with Jason Steinberg, the article. Maybe something like that had to go out into the media to get these guys sitting around the table. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like, look, let's prove that, I don't know. I'm just reading, I'm putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 12. But, sometimes things get leaked and they get leaked to make a decision, to push a decision. And maybe it pushed Moyes and Stein to actually sit down and work together. Who knows? Why have we gone in for that? Well, by all accounts, Steve, as we were saying in the chat, someone I mentioned, apparently the Lazio deal is happening to him. So rumour is most games. Yep, it will be. I think Fofana thinks that Pat Man would be great. I agree. Youssouf Crystal wants to leave. He did turn up, but he did not turn up. Apparently so. All week has been training. So there we go. He can do one. He's on strike. I hope he's waging me stop. Me too. Smoke and mirrors, says David. We love a smoke and mirrors. We're going to talk about the Bristol City signing in a minute. I hope Stein doesn't slag us off on Saturday. Former club. Yeah, exactly. Obviously played by Leverkusen in the next round. So let's crack on. Who's next? So next on the list is a guy we actually spoke about, I think it was last year, definitely. The former Arsenal defender, current Stuttgart centre-back, Konstantinos Mavropanos. And apparently we're interested in him in our search for a new centre-back, according to The Sun. It reported on the online edition a couple of days ago that we're keeping tabs on the Stuttgart centre-back who left the Premier League permanently to join the Bundesliga side last summer after an initial 1-year loan deal from Arsenal. As well as us, apparently Wolves are also monitoring the situation, and also I believe Napoli as well are looking at the situation. Don't forget they're also linked with Naya Figuered, weren't they, a couple of days ago. Again, something like this covers both sides. He's got Premier League experience, having played for Arsenal. Not loads of games, but some Premier League experience. He does understand the Premier League. Steidem would have probably been aware of him for his time at Stuttgart. So he would have been aware of that. He's 25, lots of time to develop, and obviously a much younger option than someone like Harry Maguire. The issue is none of the rubber clubs are after him. And it's one of those things where we may have a trump card in that we have the London link, potentially. So we'll see. Russy B gives him I'll give it 50-50 chance in this one, because you just don't know in terms of others. I think West Ham should do a loan to buy around. That's a bargain. I don't think they'd want a loan. They'd want a full buy. Because of Stuttgart, has Everton's FFP inquiries gone away? I don't think so. Hope his mapping improved. He was poo. Arsenal he was, but he was very good at Stuttgart, and obviously so much so after the 1 year they then turned that into a permanent signing. We need to get some Greek players in. We've had most other countries' players. Have we ever had a Greek player at West Ham? I don't know. It's a good shout. Have West Ham ever had a Greek player? Don't think we have, actually. Don't think we have. No, I remember we were linked with. Hang on, what's this one? Cypriot links. We never faced. We had a guy on loan. We had. We had in part of the 1972 debut, Marios Arkelianos. We've had a few. Marios Arkelianos. We had Yilmaz Ohan. So we had a couple, not in recent history, but great shout. What we got here? It would be a bargain sign for us. I agree. Or even going to. Why do the club give him another year? I think they gave him a year because I think they were a bit worried about left back options. And I think it's, you need to bring in someone to let someone go, and I think, we don't want to let someone go. So, and the whole sort of Wolves thing came up a little bit later on after he signed the deal. Might be getting from Arsenal, they bump up the prices, yes. And Vlasic is frustrated at Moyes because he wants to return. He's off anyway. Your connections, do you know how putting has helped expand our fan base? No idea. I think West Ham should get Pyatt back on a free transfer. I don't think so. I think that ship has sailed, as Matt said as well. Who's next? Let's crack on. There's so many to get through today. It's gone crazy, as you can imagine. Let's talk about the Bristol City left back, Cameron Pring. Apparently, West Ham identified him as a potential target for our problematic left back position, according to the Daily Mail. It reported a couple of days ago that West Ham have had a look at the Bristol City defender and they continue for their quest for their first summer signing. He could be an alternative to Adrien Truffet, we can talk about in a minute. Unlike some of the other players the club are looking at, he would be relatively stress-free, I would imagine, to pull off a deal due to lower status compared to stars across Europe and Premier League who West Ham have been pursuing. He played 32 times for the club last season, and as Bristol City finished 10th, 10 points off the playoff places. He scored once and 6 assists from left back. Again, this guy's not the most exciting, but he would be reliable, dependable, probably cheap as well, I'll be honest. But it's not the most inspiring signing. But yeah, I think he'd be a good replacement for Cresswell because you've got Emerson there. I think Emerson's still, for me, Emerson would be first team, and then maybe Pring could be the backup or eventually take over. He's 25, so he's still got 3 or 4 years ahead of, actually 4 years. It was Emerson's birthday today, 4 years ahead of Emerson. So there we go. Pring would be a good replacement for Cresswell because he's experienced championship and he's a young talent. He would be a good signing. Cresswell not on strike, too professional for that. The upside, the unpro side of that is he's a testimonial, still trying to get millions for him and not award him 10 years service. West Ham will not give him a testimonial because we don't own the ground. It's going to cost £350,000 to get a testimonial for him. That's the be all and end all. Pring on loan would be a good move and not to buy unless really cheap. I don't think they'd let him go on loan. We'll bring talents because he's young and he'll be a good signing over the years. How they just put 2 and 2 together. Moyes played for Bristol. Ian Maatsen is the man once Poch has decided. Indeed, we'll talk about it in a minute. We're going to talk about this in a minute. We're going to talk about Ian Maatsen as well. I'd rather get Rico Henry. He's bloody quick. He's a really good footballer. Would he come to us? Don't know. That's the thing. And Pring, I'm going to give 6 out of 10. Let's move on. Let's talk about more left backs. Let's talk about the Feyenoord left back. The Feyenoord left back. Quilinski Hartman as another possible left back option, according to the Daily Mail. Now, as a potential replacement, Hartman has been considered after winning the Dutch title with Feyenoord under current manager Arne Slot. He made 33 appearances in his first full season with the first team and could be in frame for a move. If various other options are unsuccessful. He's a Belgian boy. He's where is it? He, as I said, he's already established himself in Feyenoord's title-winning side last season. He's gained experience in the Europa League last year, and obviously with us qualifying for that again, that could be another top box tick. He's relatively inexperienced. He's very quick, but relatively inexperienced, and so. This is to me, this one's a punt. I think he'd be a good signing, but he is a bit of a rough diamond, I think, if I had to say at the moment. So he could be buffed up to a really good diamond, or it could be a lump of coal. But at the moment, he's got a good future ahead of him, Hartman has, and so and obviously under Arne Slot, again, is a guy we were sort of talking about in terms of potentially becoming a new West Ham boss a while ago, wasn't it? And obviously he rejected Spurs as well, rather than them getting Postecoglou as well. But we'll see. I mean, for me, for Hartman, I'm going to give him 4 out of 10 because I just think it might be. I don't know. I just think there's probably 2 or 3 other options ahead of him, but he's an option. That's fair to say. He is an option. Another option is, as we said, Adrien Truffet. But in my eyes, this one's died a death a little bit. As according to Foot Mercato, he claimed yesterday that he has now signed a 2-year extension to his contract, despite interest from West Ham and Forest. That doesn't mean that he's not going to sign for another club. Hello, look at Aaron Crystal, for example. But he does put a bit more of a, probably increases the price tag. Don't forget also last season before we signed Aged, obviously we were after, and obviously Aged came for Aged as well. Obviously it was either Zuma or Aged, and we opted for Zuma. Then Aged got a new contract, and we signed him the following summer. So it's a ploy that Rennes do on their players. So once you get someone in with some interest, they usually do reward them with a new contract. So it's not the end of the world. Obviously, he didn't play for the game against West Ham. But I think if we're going to, I mean, he's 21, so the chances are, I think if we do go through, I don't think it'll be this summer now. I think it'll probably more likely to be next summer, very similar to what we did with what's his face? Aged, with old Naif Aged. I've given him a 3 out of 10 just because he's signed the new deal, and it's sort of probably about Kibosh is that. What we got up here, wanted Rico Henry before we signed. If he leaves, it'll be for a top 6 club. I don't think so, heck, Ken. I don't think so, mate. I know he's a good player, but I don't think he'll be a top 6. Don't be top 6. He'll probably start at Villa, top 8. Hartman's really good, not going to lie. Seen him play a few times, and could be a good move as well coming to London. Bournemouth signing Scott, they could afford the red dress. We should sign one of the talented South Korean players who would also sell a shitload of shirts and expand the fan base. We've been linked to a few Japanese players, particularly as well recently. Ship has sailed. I like Truffet. I get that about the stadium, but West Ham could do the decent thing and let him go to Wolves on a free with the club's blessing. No, Ken, because then that lessens our position, doesn't it? Because when one player down, without no. I think I think he could go for a nominal fee if we get a left back in. But yeah, can't see it happening just yet. Let's talk about more left backs. Let's talk about, is he here? Yeah, Ian Marston as well. Ian Maatsen, obviously someone we've been linked with, and according to a report from Daily Mail, we still are very much interested in him, and apparently have held talks, but I don't think we have. He was heavily linked to a move for the 21-year-old fullback this summer. And apparently it seems that David Moyes is ramping up his interest in the Chelsea youngster. Talks have apparently taken place. And according to Daily Mail, the Hammers are very keen to sign him from Chelsea. I mean, we know he's got, for me, Marston's got all the bits, all the ingredients to be an elite level left back in the Premier League. Last year was on Burnley, 39 championship outings, 4 goals, 6 assists. He's fast. He's a good defender. He gets forward well. Isn't proven really in the Premier League, in all honesty, but he's got all the bits. That makes sense. He's got the ingredients. I think could be an elite level. Talk about transfers. Ranko, we all want transfers. Are we playing Cresswell? I don't know. Ren beat Forest 5-0 at their place yesterday. There we go. So we'll take the 3-1. We're better than Forest. Potts says he wants to keep him too. What I think they're doing, Mark, is he's keeping an eye on, he's doing a pre-season with everyone, which I think is very a wise thing to do. And then towards the end, he'll go, right, okay, he can go. I think that's the basic sort of idea in terms of Poch's pre-season, which I think is perfectly right. Marston will be a good signing. His Premier League experience in West Ham hasn't got not that much Premier League experience, not very proven, but I know what you mean. West Ham holding talks. He will be a bargain sign if he wants to move. Indeed, if he wants to move, or we might want to stay at Chelsea. We'll see. Who's next? As I said, we've got loads of people to come through. Let's talk about Harwood-Bellis, another guy who was on loan at Burnley last year. Apparently, we are in the driving seat, whatever that means, and we're currently working on a deal to beat others the signing of Taylor Harwood-Bellis. According to The Guardian, West Ham are pushing hard to sign him in the window. And we've been heavily linked to a move for the 21-year-old Man City defender already. The Guardian claimed the Hammers are trying to steal a march on rivals, including Leeds, who are in the Championship, in the race to sign him. I mean, obviously, also Burnley are looking at him as well. Interested in him making a move to theirs as well. Again, it'll probably be a similar situation to not hopefully the outcome, but in terms of the Carlos Borges deal, in terms of around 15 million quid has been quoted, plus some sort of buyback clause, I'd imagine, as Man City tends to do all of those, which means we'll probably end up sitting on it, and then Ajax will come straight in for it at the last minute. But anyway, we'll see. He's got all the tools needs shining. Yep, totally agree. Yeah, Russ, stop talking. I'm sorry. I'll start working it. Roberto Carlos on a freeze. He's close to retirement. There we go. Paul Stilling, our left back. Yeah, they are. One of the youth team players is going to Liverpool. So, out of all of those left back, who's your choice? Who do you think we'll end up with? Choice would be Ian Maatsen, who we ended up with Cameron Spring. Germany are out. There we go. A driving seat in the seat next to Borges. What could go wrong there, indeed? Championship experience, a very good young player. Good about development. How's Josh Cullen doing? Doing very good. He'll be playing. He's captain for Burnley at the moment, isn't he? Very good. Love Harwood could play, reading the game, start attacks and play midfield. He can. We'll join Burnley with company there. It's a no-brainer. Trinity, well, then they're looking at getting Ian Marston as well then, because he was on loan there as well. So we'll see. Russy B has given it. I've given it a 7 out of 10. I think this one's sort of, again, 2 and 2 added together and count of 20. Let's talk about Florian Balogun. Apparently, reports have linked us to him this summer. And according to journalist Ben Jacobs, reported the West Ham haven't moved for him yet, but they do apparently like the forward and are looking to make a bid. Asked about his whereabouts this season, the journalist replied, "Keep an eye on West Ham." You know, there's no doubt he's a top finisher. He's got an eye for goal. Last year he was starring role for Will Still's Chem with 22 goals on loan for the league side. He's only 22, bags of potential, looks like a phenomenal player and will develop into a fantastic player. Whether we get him is another thing. As I said, £40 million he's been quoted. You pay a lot of money. You do pay a lot of money for the top for strikers. You do, but I like this ladders too. And I think the fact is he's done the hard yards. He's done the hard grafting. For League last season. Bit of Premier League experience. Didn't really hit the ground running particularly great at Middlesbrough when he was on loan there. But, and as people say in the chat, 40 to 50 million quid. They want 50. So the chances are I'd probably sell them for 50 because we were at 100 and something and we got 50. Good point, but 2 up, 2 down. And for your fantasy football league teams, Jesus is having knee surgery, so he will miss the beginning of the season. So that may well stunt a particular a move for him. Maybe we'll see. They put 50 million on him. Chelsea, Arsenal want 50 million. Don't give him a beam for unproven. Would rather buy Jonathan David for that. Again, I would love to buy Jonathan David, but would Jonathan David come to West Ham? Who knows? Would someone at Arsenal sell Balogun and buy Jonathan David? Quite possibly. That's the trouble. It's always the next step, isn't it? So if Juventus, after Scamacca to swap Del Zakaria, maybe the English winger. Juventus, I haven't put an official bid in yet. It's between Inter Milan and Atalanta. Inter Milan are looking at the most likely at the moment if he does go. So, we'll see with that. I've given Balogun I'll give him 6 out of 10, not 7. Give him 6 out of 10 because the start we've been linked to him for a long time. Jonathan Tah, name that always crops up. Apparently, David Moyes is open-minded about the pursuit of Bayer Leverkusen's central defender Jonathan Tah. According to Sky Germany, Bayer Leverkusen open to letting him leave this summer and are willing to accept an offer of around 17.1 million. Obviously, he did have a release clause of 15 million, which expired a couple of weeks ago. So it's only a little bit more, and are willing to sanction his departure away from the Bay Arena. He's believed to view the Premier League as his dream destination and has almost set up a come get me West Ham interview recently. However, his release clause, in terms of the German publication Kicker, reported that West Ham were keen to take him as uncertainty swirled the future of his status at Bayer Leverkusen. I haven't made any sort of quiet about the fact that I really want Jonathan Tah. I really, really want him. I think it's fantastic. And I think you do a really good job. 8 out of 10 Tar Bees, get Tar in. Tar. It's funny how no one else It's funny how no one wants Tar. Everyone else wants Tar. No one wants him. That's the thing. A lot of these players were still linked with. No one else has put in for him, which sometimes makes me a bit worried. I would love Jonathan Tart. West Ham is keen on the move, so a bargain 70 minutes. You totally agree. Atalanta, a Keiko with money. They could come up with dough for Skarmaka. Well, apparently they've offered money plus Damari, the centre back, but centre back doesn't want to come to us, so we'll probably not. We'll see. We can definitely get players in, but whether or not they'll be panic buys, totally agree. Totally agree to it down. And the longer it takes, the more likely are to be panic buys. 6, 7 out of 10. Tar is great. I agree, Russ. Get him in now. Could get a good job on Saturday if he plays, Russ. Yeah, he could do. He could get a good old look at him, bit similar to what we did with what's his face, Fofana. Some other names we've been linked with, or new news. Apparently, AC Milan forward Charles de Ketelaere is reported to be on the radar this summer. According to Gazzetta dello Sport, West Ham are moving towards the AC Milan attacker in the summer window. They reckon that the Hammers are keen on signing the Belgian forward, and AC Milan are demanding around £24 million for him. He's attacking midfielder by trade, but can also play up front and on the wings. So he's multitask in terms of can play lots of different positions. So Moisey likes that thing. But it's worth noting he was crap last season for AC Milan. He was crap. He wasn't very good at all. And so £24 million, I think they're just trying to get him off their books, I'll be honest. I mean, when he was playing for Club Brugge, I think he had something like 14 goals, 7 assists in 40-odd games for Club Brugge in his last season before moving to AC Milan. So, the talent's there, but he hasn't had a very good time in AC Milan. So I think they're trying to, bring in some newer blood. But yeah, it's be interesting to see. We'll be all over. He'll be in over Oggy. Won't be after AFCON. Need him. You're totally right. We totally do. Panic buyers are usually mercenaries, indeed. JOP wants to come until Brighton will jump him. 50 pence. As I said, he wants the West Ham move. He comes on a Southern dragged off. He's an attitude and huge ego. Charles, again, it's a fight. It's a 50-50. You can see he's young. He does have experience. He does, he has got he is talented. He just didn't. Sometimes, a move can really benefit a player, and the move to AC Milan didn't. Maybe he stayed at Club Brugge for another couple of seasons would have been better for his development. But not saying he's not talented. He's a good player. He can play multiple positions. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one. Let's talk about Hugo Ekitike, our good friend. He was one of our transfer stalwarts last season, but he's back on the radar apparently. West Ham expressed interest in a move for the PSG striker, and apparently the French club are looking to sell him, according to RMS Sports. The news outlet reported yesterday that PSG are looking to move the striker on. Has been interest from West Ham, as well as Forest, Juventus, and Bayer Leverkusen after they signed him for 30 million quid last season. You remember, we were after him. Then he was going to go to Newcastle, and then that fell through, and then he went to PSG, as per usual. Now, it's a bit of a strange situation at PSG at the moment. They're looking in to get Randall Kolo Munai. I think he's still at Eintracht Frankfurt, and may use Hugo as a make-weight, or they may not. He finds himself in a bit of a strange situation at PSG. The club are looking to sell him, but their manager, the new manager, Luis Enrique, is a big fan of his. And he's been performing well in pre-season. He hasn't done a lot of minutes, but he's been performed well. So, on paper, he's very much a Moyes player. 6'2", hold-up play, brings in others around him. However, he's quite skillful, like a Skarmaka, and that hasn't worked particularly well. Pre-season's been very impressive for him. He scored a 2-0 win against Le Havre. He scored an assist in a match against Creso Osako. He feels like this one. He feels like a Tim Steindem signing, but he just needs an arm around him, I think, and I think you see a hell of a player. I mean, the Russy Rumour rating, the original Rumour rating, I give it a 3 out of 10 because I think it's unlikely, which means he's probably more likely to join than all the others. But I just think he's got He's got it. He's got all the ingredients. He just needs that push into the right way. Saints play their first game to it. They do. They play Sheffield Wednesday. They kick off Championship club, the Championship season on. So we'll see what happens there. Can play all positions, but his work rate sucks. Watched him loads as Milan are my favourite team. Full of them since the 80s. There we go, Trini. Pulisic, Loftus-Cheek, both it. So it is one off the books. But I do agree. I read somewhere that we're agreeing 10 million. I think we will get 5 for Cressy, maybe 2.5 at the best. Yeah, that's probably right in both those cases. We'll be in the squad tomorrow unless we move swiftly. Doesn't matter if he's in the squad tomorrow. Don't forget Scott Parker. Scott Parker played the beginning of a championship season with us before moving to Spurs. So there we go. You've got the tools, just need the arm around him. Good shout, Kim. Good shout. Everyone's talking to him. Him and Balogun up top, amazing. Russ has been drinking energy drinks. Only 98 left to go. Indeed, I think it's partly because we've had so many, and I've had my Lemsip tablet, so I'm still going. So we'll keep going until I drop, basically. Right. Let's crack on. There's more. Let's talk about what a great picture. Let's talk about Joel Pohjanpalo. Apparently West Ham in the hunt to sign, and we've mentioned this guy for the Serie B side striker. He plays for Venezia. And apparently we linked with another move for him, according to the Daily Mirror. Obviously, reports that Antonio wants to potentially move over to Pastors New. And it's done to the 28-year-old Finnish international as a potential replacement. Now, he's obviously one of those names who easily rolls off the tongue, as per usual. But those who have been keeping an eye on Italian football, for example, over the last 12 months, have seen him score an absolute bag full of goals for Venezia. Last season, the former Bayer Leverkusen striker, I wonder who also has been working at Bayer Leverkusen, scored 19 goals and 7 assists in 38 appearances across all competitions. Unfortunately, his side missed out on promotion to Serie A due to a Serie B playoff loss to Calgary, and he was the captain. He was the captain as well. He's been capped by the Finnish side 63 times. He's tall, powerful, loves a header. Maybe if we had someone like JWP to give him some headers, who knows? But the issue, slight issue, is he's a bit of a journeyman. In fact, Venezia are his 9th professional club, including low spells. He's represented HJK Helsinki, Fortuna Dusseldorf, Hamburg, Union Berlin, also Bayer Leverkusen, Calciarispor before joining Venezia last year. He won't cost the earth, but he's 28. So again, not necessarily a particularly one for the future, but you would get a couple of decent seasons out of him. You got to think of him with someone such as JWP, for example. He loves a header. Where Skamak is not. I wouldn't say he's a particularly. He doesn't tend to. He's tall, but he doesn't win aerial duels as much as I think you want to. Somebody 6'4", 6'5". Joel does do that. He likes it. He likes a bit of, rough. He likes getting into defenders and stuff. So, again, not necessarily the most exciting one. Scott reckons he's decent. Couldn't fit his name on the shirt though, indeed, or you can't pronounce it, indeed. If you're Russ, 25 and starting in the Premier League first time, not a wise idea. Totally right, but it might be an idea it could be an interesting one. As I said, something a bit different. It seems everyone else is buying Scandinavian strikers in terms of Haaland and Højlund as well. So maybe another one. Who knows? I'll give it 6 out of 10 because the Bayer Leverkusen link. Only a few more, and then I'm going to collapse. Tyler Adams, apparently West Ham made an approach to Leeds asking for information on a deal for Tyler Adams, according to the Daily Mail. Reported yesterday that the Hammers are one of 5 clubs who have done so, and he's available for £25 million thanks to a release clause in his contract following relegation to the Championship. Apparently Villa are now ready to trigger it as well, but are waiting on an answer of the 24-year-old over his intentions. Chelsea, Brighton and Forest have also made their own inquiries, and for a fee of £25 million, Leeds can't refuse it. There's a lot to like about a move for Tyler Adams. With so many other clubs interested in it, it's clear how highly he's rated amongst the Premier League sides. The main issue for me is that he's not back to fully fitness just yet from his hamstring surgery that he had last season. And he might even be fully fit until the window closes. So buying an unfit player, buying a fit player who's technically still injured, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I like him as a player. I just don't think he's ready yet physically. I think that was one of the issues with Skamaka in the fact that he had that injury and he had the surgery, and clubs were waiting maybe to see him play in pre-season before putting a bid in for him. And I think that's the same with Tyler as well. For me, I mean, I give it a 6 out of 10 because I can see again both sides of our transfer committee being happy. You've got Moyes, Premier League experience, and Steidem would have known him from his Bundesliga days. So again, either side of the divide have will know of him and are aware of him. How many more we got? A couple more. Let's talk about another Bayer Leverkusen centre back. Let's just buy basically the Bayer Leverkusen backline. According to WHU employee, we are after this man. We are after the Bayer Leverkusen defender, Piero Hincapie, according to X. He wrote on his Patreon yesterday that the Ecuadorian international, he does have a price tag, but apparently West Ham will have to beat a number of teams to secure the 21-year-old services. Be an ambitious buy. But we do have the Steidem factor, and Steidem will be instrumental in bringing him to the club. The Germans are expected to have a high price tag for him, and West Ham know they face competition for the versatile defender. He can also, as well, playing centre back, can play left back and left wing back as well. Very similar in terms of Aged, the fact that Aged can play left back if we ever need it, which we ever don't. So Moyes. So a bit like sort of Tilo Kehrer, he can offer a solution on the left-hand side for multiple positions, whereas Tilo ideally offers that on the right-hand side, and Moyes likes that. We know he likes a utility player. He knows that he can only grow as much as he can in terms of his player development at Leverkusen, and he needs to test himself. And so the Premier League could be the next step for him. He's one of the best young defenders in the Bundesliga, so undoubtedly the German side will need a decent fee in exchange for his services. Now, Tim, I believe, was actually instrumental in bringing him in the first place to Bayer Leverkusen. So he'll have a respect for Mr. Steidem, hopefully as well. I really want him. I think he's a great player. I mean, I've given him a 6 out of 10 just because of the Steidem factor, and maybe a double deal with Jonathan Tah. Could you imagine? Will be a big dub, can play left back. Okay, Tyler is okay, 25, championship player now, but needs to be fit. I totally agree. Buying a unfit player to West Ham way, looks like a bruiser. He's a big lad. Let's just buy the Bayer Leverkusen. Who's their left back? Let's buy him as well. Decent left back, bloody decent. We're back in. Indeed, we get back up. We're back in for him. I wouldn't, Pappy. What we got here? They want like 30 million. Would you have him over Fofana? Different players, mate. Sort of Adams? No. I'd get Fofana in over Adams, but this guy I really like. Right. Do we have any more? We have one more. Oh God, Jesus! One more player, and then that's the latest of everything at the moment. And it's another striker. With the potential of Skamaka going to Inter Milan, and obviously Antonio maybe looking for else. Pastors new. West Ham obviously will be on the hunt for replacements, and apparently Spieza Calcio's Mabala Enzola would fit, apparently. According to the Viola News, West Ham aim to sign the 26-year-old who managed 15 goals and 3 assists last season for Spieza. Other clubs interested are Fiorentina, and apparently the two clubs are now set to battle for Enzola's signature. It's stated that Fiorentina are preparing a bid to make for 10 million euros, while Spieza have set a 15 million pound price tag for the Angola international. Spieza have been relegated in the same way we spoke about Emil Holm So, maybe even a double deal with Spieza, who knows? So his valuation has dropped. And I mean, by all accounts, he probably favours a move to Fiorentina more, but the charm of the Premier League and opportunity to play in the Europa League as well maybe could favour West Ham. According to Calcio Mercato, it claims that the London club have set their sights on the Spieza player to replace Scarmacca. Although Fiorentina do hold sort of the cards in terms of staying in Italy, maybe Ngoza has his agent is the same agent as Oggy and Gerald Bonner. And apparently states the Hammers have an excellent relationship with the representative, having just agreed a new contract with Oggy. So, although we say, why the fuck? Maybe that Oggy deal could help us get Nzola potentially. As I said, he's quick, he's rapid, he's a big lad. He looks a bit like Antonio in terms of when he runs, but we shall see. I'm giving this a 5 out of 10. Just because that's me. But I think he's I don't know actually. Kent's asked about AFCON. I don't know if Angola have qualified for the AFCONs. I have to check. Looks about 40. I mean, there's certainly he does look older. He's 28, but I remember looking at both Sacco. Sacco looked well old for his age. But I think fine enough. There we go. Look back at the couch. Bound to find a few players there. It's like me hitting darts. Never know where it will hit. But that's why we do it, because we go to show the craziness of the transfer window. I mean, I'll show you the list in a minute. It's incredible how many players we've been linked with. Might sign in ones who look old. Great shout, Michael. We should look at Gift Orban. I believe he's moved on, isn't he? He's going to be moving on to a big club. I thought Gift Orban was being linked with a team. Who's he linked with? I know Spurs are interested about him, and there was someone else as well. I thought he was going to another club. One of several clubs he's been linked to, apparently Spurs amongst others. Never known such speculation. We'll get Elvis on a free. Can't come on to players, don't know. Yep, she has. She's joined as joint chairman. Oggy seems to know everyone in Europe. He needs to be part of the staff after retirement. I totally agree. Went on to Lanzini. He did. We spoke about it this morning. Obviously getting his dream move back to, I think it's currently a 1-year contract with River Plate, but hopefully he'll do well there. Don't have much luck with Serie A. Zaza, Zavio, Scarmacca. No, we don't. But didn't we sign Liam Brady from Serie A? I think he came from Serie A, didn't he? So in terms of the current list, this is the current list. Congratulations, guys. You'll be very pleased to know we have hit 134 players who've been linked with this season, which is actually it's not even totally correct. It's more than that, I think, now, actually. Which is actually that's right, yeah. Which is more than last season. Last season we finished the transfer window with 130 players. So we've just under a month left. We're 134 players we have been linked with throughout the transfer window. And no doubt there'll be a lot more we are linked with coming up. So congratulations, guys. Very happy, I'm sure you are, of being linked with so many players this transfer window. As I said, we have got loads of stuff coming up. We've got Hammers headlines coming up later on. We're talking about Antonio. We're going to talk about another player we've been linked with. We're going to talk about the new rules coming into the Premier League as well, so keep an eye on that. Russ, don't forget to turn the lights off when you leave the stadium. Indeed, 2 and 2 plus equals 12. Good luck to Manny, really pleased with him as well. It's a great signing. Askia, there we go, we did. 134 and no one's up. We have Sean Moore, actually, Cliftonville, Mats. There we go. Any news on Bowen signing a contract extension? At the moment, I kept calling to Sean. I mean, that's what we said. Sean Wheatstone said that Souček and Bowen are unlikely to sign an extension at the moment under the current regime. Now, that might change if the regime starts working together and we get players in. That may change. Apparently, Bowen wants to sign a new deal. He loves the club. Obviously, his new family are very much tied to West Ham. But it's just at the moment, it's all the backroom politics seem to have deterred him from penning that deal. But he's still got 2 years on his contract at the moment. Really enjoyed this podcast. My first time here. Shaky, well done. Thank you for joining us. If you're new around here, don't forget to come back and like, comment, share, subscribe, and become a channel member. There's a join button down there, and I need to send out the signed footballs. I'm sorry, from the July one. Well, actually, we've got to do the August one. All right, tomorrow we'll do the August, and I send out the August and the July ones. Tomorrow we'll have our members draw. So anyone who's a channel member, I think it's $2.99 a month or whatever. You get entered into a prize draw each month, and there's a signed football. It'll be signed West Ham football from the Europa Conference League winning squad, West Ham United, the 22-23 season. So, and then some lucky person will win that tomorrow. So we'll do it on the live show tomorrow. All that good stuff. Instead of new idea, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a subscribe. At the end of the day, and also all of our subscribers, all of our Barmy member armies get a little shout out at the end of each of our shows. So take care, stay safe, stay warm. Much love. See you later on. Bye.
It's like a family tree.